people who really are interested in looking after children. So in our part, we've parented many. We have biological children and we have those other children who are not biological children, but we have parented many, many children. Maybe now we would be talking of parenting grandchildren, but I think parenting really in the real sense of it is you have to have God to guide you.
I like that.
For me, I don't think one can say that I was an expert on parenting. I have managed parenting because there is no set standard. But what we've discovered as ourselves is that we've realized that you just have to ask God to give you the wisdom and the ability to look after children. So we've gone through that, but our bottom line is that we really have to say what we have done is out of prayer, is out of seeking God's will on how to manage, and somehow things work out. I wouldn't say that we really say this, we did this, we may be better than others or anything, but what we did was to really put God at the center of our family and ask for guidance and wisdom on how to parent.
Wow, I really like that. Wow, thank you, Mr. Masiko. Anything on that?
Actually, parenting is a hard job.
I like
I
that.
think you have to be intentional when you decide to have a spouse, then you produce children, and you have to bring them up in a way that God would appreciate what you've done, because children actually a blessing from God, and as parents it is a responsibility to take very good care of them. Unfortunately, children are born in sin because of what our forefathers Adam and Eve did. Children are born in sin, so they are stubborn, they are selfish, even at a very young age. 3 months, 4 months, if a child wants something, they'll start trying to cry for it and try and persuade you that actually they need to have that, and then they grow up and they start manipulating parents. So it is tough. So you need a lot of grace to parent children in a Christian way. And unfortunately, in our societies, I speak as a man, many men are absent. And I think every child needs a father figure when they grow up. And as I said before, men, God expects us to be involved with our children, especially when they're very young. Don't wait for them to grow up and think you are going to make them friends. Start on the first day, maybe even before they are born, by taking care of their mother. And then later on, when they come into this world, you start straight away making them friends. It's not easy, but can be done.
Yeah, I like that. At least that gives us hope. It's not easy, but it can be done. Therefore, whoever puts in time, puts in effort, they can have something good out of it. And I really, really like that. Starting with you, Winnie, I like it when you said that parenting is hard, and you were able to do that by the grace of the Lord. So now I would want to know, are there some challenges that you have faced in this whole thing? Or maybe you have seen God see you through, you don't know how and what, but are there challenges that you can identify? Like, honestly, parenting with grace has been not easy here and there. Are there any particular times that you can bring out when it comes to that?
Yes, indeed, there are times it has never been a smooth run. It is never easy, as I've said, but we've seen times when the children are in their teenage life, when they are at school, sometimes you realize that sometimes they want to do their things. They might not want to take on some of the advice you give, and sometimes they get astray because of the peer pressure, the friends they meet, and so many times you'd find children sort of not doing what exactly you would want them to do as a parent. You sort of want a straight line, you want your child to behave in such a way, but sometimes they don't, especially when they are growing up and they are in that teenage life, and they can easily, rebel and do what maybe you don't want. And so those are times when you really face that it can be a bit difficult. And of course, what we've done as a family is to keep with them, to make sure that we are with them, even when we know they are doing things that we might not like. You just keep talking to them, you keep close to them. Yes, you discuss. Sometimes they might not show you exactly what they are doing or what they are going through, but even if you detect, you just have to keep on talking to them, being very close to them, and then eventually you see them turn. But of course, with prayer. For me, I think the bottom line is really to pray for them, to pray and say, God, just take charge and be with these children. And of course, you wouldn't pray with them if they don't even pray for them or with them if you not nurtured them to love church. So for us, I think what we've seen work for us is to make sure that right from the child from baby, stages, they are introduced to church, and so they attend church. You encourage them, even when sometimes they are not interested in going. You try to wait for them and make sure that at least you go with them to church, even when they are young, and encourage them even when they are older to remain, so that they like the church. And then you also use your prayer to pray for them and also to talk to them. So eventually children, even if they sort of seem as if they are doing or you seemingly going astray, you see them turn and change because of that. So I really believe prayer and introducing them to biblical teachings is very important. They might seem they are not interested, but you just have to keep on moving and moving on, and eventually it works.
Wow, I really, you have something?
Well,
Okay.
I think that's important, but now I can look back and when our children were very young, we're in the village and we are in a small community of Christians and everything was good. Then at some point we had to move and come to Kampala. And we moved into Bogolobi Flats, which is a communal place, and there are children everywhere. So the environment where you parent your children is very important. And quickly I realized that actually they're going to get a lot of influence from the neighborhood, the surrounding we are moving in. And therefore we made a practical decision to quickly see how we could get them out of that environment. And I think they didn't like it. They told me, years later they told me that they were so disappointed when we moved out of Gorobi and went to the village in Bunamwaya, where we live now. But we think that was a practical move to change the environment where we are trying to bring our children and in a Christian way. So I think as parents we have to try everything.
Exactly. Yeah, have to take those hard decisions.
Hard decisions may be expensive, but then for your children it is very important.
Exactly.
Because the children, they said, we are so disappointed when we moved out.
Yeah.
But for me, I was very happy because I realized there must have been something going on that I didn't realize.
Wow, I like the psychologist of parents. Eh?
Yes.
Wow. Now, I really like this. And Winnie, let me first get this from you. These days, you find parents take their children, want their children to be like angels. Like, you don't want your children to do wrong. Like, you're looking at them as perfect people. But from your sharing, I took out the patience that you have as parents. Now, I want to have your mind on this. Some parents want their children not to do wrong, like they want you to be perfect. So what do you say about that?
Yes, I know the tendency of a parent is really to have perfect children that do what they want to do. But I think we need to be conscious to know that it's not sometimes necessary to push children. Not all children will develop at the same rate or do what you want. So you need a lot of patience with each one of them, because each one of them would be different from the other. So there is no need why we should really put a lot of pressure on children, because sometimes if you push them into a line that they might not like, they might keep quiet, but they might behave differently, because they do a lot of things behind the parents' back. So you have to be very patient. For me, I still think the bottom line is apart from prayer is patience. You just have to be. Sometimes parents get worried very fast when they see a child is going astray, is done something that is not right. Then they blame the child. Then they start saying all sorts of things, comparing the child with another, and all those things discourage children. They really put them off. So I think as parents, the issue of patience is very important. Children change. They change, but they will change because of the love you have shown, the patience you have shown, and also the care. To talk to children, it's very important at whatever stage. They need somebody to talk to. And when they have a father, mother around them, or a relative, a guardian, then they can quickly change from whatever they are doing. It's not force that will force these children to change. It's not the beating, it's not the hard words. Usually it is the love, the patience, and that you show them that can make them do the right things. So for me, I think that's what has worked for us, and I'm sure it's very important that as parents, let's not rush. Let us not compare children with other children or with other families. Let us know that each one of them is different. They have different gifts. They have different attributes, and they can come out to be useful to all of us. So I think the issue of patience is very, very important.
Wow. I told you I'm hosting big people here. I like the way you are sharing. Now I will take it up from you, Mr. Masiko here. You mentioned something that I really, really like about a father figure, how fathers are very important in the lives of their children. And we want to pick it up from you, that you're right here. How have you made it to be present in the lives of your children till date, and now you're even present in the lives of your grandchildren? How possible has it been?
I can really thank God for that, because I was working in a hospital environment, and therefore the quarters were in the same hospital, and therefore it was very easy to be in and out of the house and check what the children were doing. And I think I found myself building on that to be involved in my children's lives, all of them. I think I realized quite early that if you are not close to your children, it is possible for you to lose them forever. So I made a conscious decision that even when they become older and we are going to school, I made it a point take them to school every morning, not because I was not busy, but take them to school in the morning, which helps you anyway to get to detail on time. Then in the evening, try and pick them from school. So in that way, you have time to talk with them when you're in the car and they are just you and the children. They are free to talk to you, tell you how the teachers have behaved, tell you how the children have behaved. So we started there. And then, as I told you, we were working with missionaries. We also observed that these missionaries, every time they had a holiday, they would go as a family. And they would take the children, the wife, and I think it's not a bad thing to copy from a person something that is good. So we started taking our children on holiday. And every time the experience we shared with them on those holidays, they would talk over them for a long, long time. So, and one thing led to another. So we started slowly and it has gone on. And then even now with my grandchildren, I find we are very close. In fact, every weekend, all of them are pushing. When are we going to Papa's house?
Oh.
So, I think the Baganda have a saying that Cho Siga, Cho Kungula. I think that you can't put that in English and sounds the same. But what you sow is what you reap. If you sow love, you reap love. If you sow patience, you reap patience. So, we've been learning to sow good seed, which will bring in harvest.
Wow. I think this can even summarize like this whole thing about parenting. What you sow is what you reap. Thank you very much, but we will quickly take a short break. This show will return in a bit. Dear viewer, let's take a quick break. This show returns in a bit. Please don't change the station. Welcome back from that short break. we are still here with you. My name is Claire Abwenje. In case you have just joined in, your world's favorite host. Our theme today is parenting, and our topic is parenting with grace. In the studio, we are with a great couple, and they are sharing a lot of great ideas here that can help you in parenting with grace. And that is the Masikos. Before we went for the break, Mr. Masiko was sharing with us how he has been able to be present as a father, which is now a crisis in the parenting of today. The mother is available, but then the father is busy and no time for children. But he is here to share a testimony of how he has been present in the children's lives and the grandparents at large. And I will get it from you once again, how you have been able to be present in the lives of your children as a father. You're speaking as a father figure.
I'm talking as a father. Actually, I think it was like an opportunity because I was working in the village, and we decided to get married. And when we came to the village, there was very little she could do. So immediately she needed to do some course, become a teacher, so that she could actually fit into the community. So immediately we were married. Then she had to go for training. So I had to be prepared, come to Kampala, see her at the weekend, and then wherever she had an opportunity, she would come. Therefore, that was like the foundation for what happens in the future. Later on, when there was an opportunity for her to become an MP, of course, everybody at that time was saying, how can you allow your wife to go into politics, you know? But for me, at that time, there was an opportunity for ladies to get involved in politics and become even MPs.
Well done. Wow.
So I jumped on that opportunity and supported her all the way to become an MP. And that means she'll be in Kampala, and me and the children will be in the village. So I started playing the role of mother and dad. And therefore that has helped us to be close with the children, and of course has continued when sometimes he's busy, and like last time she missed this presentation because she was traveling, but as men, so I came and represented her, and that has helped me as a man to be very close to my children, and we don't feel any competition between me and him, because she makes a significant contribution to the well-being of our family. And I think men, I would encourage men to encourage their wives to grow and contribute to the family, a happy family. And I think God has been good to us in that sense, because in the end our children came out quite well, balanced. No regrets.
Amen. I really like that. I don't know if Winnie, you have something, at least a thank you for that.
Well, I think really the important thing here is to realize that as a family, you need to work together. Once you decide to come together as husband and wife, that you need to know that you need to work together and move from one degree to another, because it is important. Therefore, what I know is, if you as a family compete with each other, then you are likely to lose out. You need to know that if, for instance, your wife has a gift or has something that she can do and do it well, you need to encourage her to do that, and then support her and trust her that she can do it. If the husband has also some capacity to do a certain assignment, I think the wife should also support, so that you work together. Many times, unfortunately, you find that instead of supporting one another, either there is that inferiority complex in some men, or they don't like the wives to go out there and explore more things, and that retards any development in a family. So it's very important that at least we realize that if you work together as a unit, you are likely to move further than now, seeming to compete with one another. So I think it's also one thing that we would like to really bring out. You should not feel bad, because, for instance, it can be tough, because sometimes you go in a function and they say Honorable Winnie and Mr. Masco and Augustine, and of course, if it's not a man who is so strong, who has confidence in himself, it can be tough. Many men don't stand that, but I think we need to realize that we have to change our attitude, so that we are able to realize that we need to support one another in all ways. And I think, to a great extent, have been able to do much more even now, because he supports. We guide, we discuss, and then at least we move on. So it is very important that as husband and wives, we need to complement each other, not to be seen as if we are competing within ourselves. Otherwise, if you do that, if you are not confident, if you don't trust one another, then it might be difficult for you to advance and be able to support your family and other people around you.
Wow, I really I've enjoyed every bit of this, especially that one. So who has influenced your approach to parenting with grace? Are there any books, figures, or experiences that have shaped your philosophy?
I think one of the, as he has already pointed out, is the surrounding that we were in. Right at the beginning, as we started our family, we happened to live with these missionaries in Kisses Hospital. And it was a small fellowship of mainly white people. And we could see how they were handling the families. And to a great extent, I think that one really helped us to pick some of the good things that we could see them do. So I think that was a great experience. And of course, another is the church. The church, we've seen how church promotes family and parenting. So I think to a great extent that one also did. And of course, many times from our friends whom we associate with have also been showing us how best it could be. But principally, I think the communities that we lived in were like the foundation to teaching us the best practices on parenting.
Wow. Okay. So how do you communicate with your children in a way that reflects grace, especially during difficult conversations? Have you had any, or?
Yes, of course, they have been difficult. But the good thing is that Augustine is very patient. I might not be that patient, but at least for him, he puts in time and talks. But I think in such difficult situations, many times we don't quickly rush to talk to them, to shout at them. No, we don't usually shout at our children. We take time and then sometimes call them and sit with them and maybe discuss some issues. So I think we have not been using an iron fist approach, because maybe both of us, we are not gifted to be that strong in a way. But I think the talking to them, discussing with them after everything has cooled down has yielded more results. Yeah.
Wow, I really like that. So how do you believe parenting with grace impacts your child's emotional and social development?
I think the way you treat your children will impact greatly how they turn out. One, children need a lot of encouragement. Even, I think, the other day I saw my grandchild trying to stand up and walk. And the fact that there was someone in front of him calling him, come, come, come. You could see the fellow making steps, trying to. So children, all they need a lot of encouragement.
Exactly.
So I think we have to be very positive when we communicate with our children, encourage them. Of course, we all want our children to be a certain kind, but some children will have different aspirations, different expectations, and it is important that we listen to them. And you know, we have stereotypes. We want, if you have girls, you want them to behave like girls and not be deviant. And yeah, for example, one of our daughters likes to travel, and sometimes you are not sure whether you should say yes because you are fearing suppose something bad happened to them. But then you must trust them and encourage them, and then go on your knees for them. So that, and you know, God is a respect of our prayer. So if you pray and believe, then God will answer. And then, of course, for boys, encourage them. When they are being difficult, show them that you, even when they are not 100%, you still care and you love them. As I was sharing last time, especially African men, it's very difficult for us to express love, hugging people, tapping them on the shoulder, you know. And this is what men need to change, that we need to change. And especially when you are dealing with the girls, you must show them love. You must express it. Don't think they'll see it on your face and understand it. Express it, tell them you love them. And well, it has worked for me. I think it worked for others as well. Because the more you encourage your children, the more you insist on certain things, like when I had already mentioned, taking them to church, even when they are moved on, giving them a call. How was your Sunday? Did you go to church? How was your service? Our children are in different churches. How was your service? How was the preacher? Then I share with them what the experience was that raise up and try and encourage them all the time to stay close to God, because the worst enemy is our. So try and push them as much as possible towards God all the time. I think in the end
Indeed. It does pay off, yes.
Yes, it pays off, as he has said. Indeed, it does pay off. It is very important that you keep focusing your children to the right thing. Yeah, even if, you know, we've seen some parents really who say, you know, my child is not in my traditional church, and maybe, you know, you just need to give them freedom. As long as they love God and they have chosen the church to go to me, I think if you know it is the right church, you should not be discouraging them. Because I've seen some parents who are saying now, we're not happy, it's not in my traditional church. But remember that if that's where they would like to be, you'd rather be there, follow them there, rather than, you know, being a distance from your children. So it is very important that we remain close to our children. We've had some children, you know, asking, how do you go to your parents all the time? Why are you always talking to your parents?
Yeah.
You know, some have really lost it at an early age, and they don't understand how even somebody who is an adult, somebody who has a family, can still relate to the parents. So I think really as Christians, as people who need the next generation to live on and on, we need to show them that they need to remain close to God. They need to know that we cannot just discard our godly traditions. We need to make sure we impart them to the generations to come. So the issue of quite remaining close to your children is very, very important.
Wow. Yeah, I like that, and I love it when you mentioned, I think you did mention that when you do not relate with your children at an early age, it will be so hard to do that when they have already grown. I know that's why they come and ask, how are you relating with your parents? You're so old, because you are intentional and you had established a relationship, which is evident up to now. So it's a call to us parents out there, please build a relationship with your children when they are still young, because when they grow up, they will also be busy like you were busy while they were growing up. So what practical advice would you give to parents who struggle to maintain grace during challenging parenting moments?
I think for me, the bottom line is really prayer. We need to engage ourselves in prayer, to pray for these children and to pray for ourselves, to be able to cope. You know, sometimes the child might not be that bad, but then the parent is more impatient than how we should be to help the child. So I think prayer is very important, and also working on ourselves, reflecting back and finding out what could have gone wrong, how best can I put it right, as me as an individual, before then you talk to the children. So, but also again, not lose hope. Children change, they change. You can't lose hope because for the 5 years your child seems to be deviant. You just have to keep working, praying, and again engaging that child, and know that things will change. We've seen children go astray and return. So there is no need for a parent to really run out, become depressed because of the children, and yet you can be patient, you can pray about it, you can engage your relatives and friends to counsel. So all this counseling can be done when you patiently wait on the reform, your child to reform. So as parents, those challenges are there, but let's not lose hope. Let's always keep at the game, because with time, usually children change.
Wow, thank you.
I think many parents set very high standards for
Wow, that's a serious one.
Our expectation of our children are set so high that actually the children find it hard to maintain. We quickly forget what we did when we were like them.
I know the children are clapping because that's what I usually hear them say. Like, our parents expect too much.
Too much. We set the bar so high. Our children should get distinctions, you know. And I think so you find parents telling their children, why aren't you like so and so? Why aren't you like so and so? You know. But I think the bottom line is, God has given you a gift of a child. Look after them as much as possible, as much as you can, and leave the rest to God to work in their lives, to change them. Set a good example. Because many of the children get problems because you are telling them to do what you have not done. and some parents are not a good example. Yeah. I hope Win will agree with me that some ladies we used to go to for visitation, and you saw the ladies are dressed. Now, why should they expect their girls to behave differently from the way they are behaving? So even as parents, we should try and model our life for the children we want them to be. If you are not being kind, how do you expect your children to become kind? If you are not being generous, how do you expect your children to be generous? If they don't see you helping the poor, how do you expect them to, when they grow up, to look after the poor? So we should model the type of person we want our children, would like our children to be. And I think that will help how your children will turn out. Yes.
I really, really like that. Yeah, monkey see, monkey do. Our
Yes.
children will do exactly what they see us doing.
Yes.
And then we will start to ask, where did you learn
Yes,
these things
this-
from? Why aren't you being like this? Because
Yes.
they have seen what we are doing as parents. Wow. So how can communities support parents in their efforts to practice grace in their parenting? Or church? How can church or community help parents in this whole thing?
Yeah, I think maybe church more, because the communities sometimes these days it's difficult to find
I know.
effective communities that seem to be together maybe. But church, I think, still stands out to be an institution that most parents go to, and some parents go to, but which can easily influence. We've seen when you go into a church setting, apart from even you attending a service and works on you, it's a very important thing, but also sometimes there are fellowships, there are meetings, women's meetings, and you talk about parenting, you talk about challenges that we are facing. Sometimes many times they help mothers especially to know how to handle some situations that could be seemingly difficult in a family setup. So I think church, to a great extent, through those meetings, through sharing, and also maybe other gatherings. I'm not good at so many other gatherings other than church. So, but if you have a community that really brings people together, families together. We've seen those circles, we've seen groups of families coming together. So if those families can be talking about how to help parents raise their children positively, I think it's a great influence. Certainly, if you're going to remain alone, to me, I think it's quite a challenge. I usually like to have people around me, people I can consult, people I can share with, friends. So I think it's very important that we really get out to share some of these things. Many times you find you have a challenge, you think it's a very big mountain, but when you share with someone, you realize that actually the problem they have is even worse than what you have.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's very important to get groups of people or church where you can share. It's not a weakness. It shouldn't be that your issues will be known and maybe people will laugh at you. What it does, it heals you psychologically so that you stay alert and you're able to manage the difficult situations that you might be facing in a family. So it's very important to take time off and have people around you whom you can share with.
Okay, wow. I really, really like that. And as you were sharing, I was reminded of this. One person once told me, our parents parented in a time where there were no much temptations like now. There was no internet, there was no what. So it was easy to parent their children. So now, what's your take or what's your advice to the people that are parenting in this digital time. Too much information, too much everything, too much. So what's your advice now that you were able to parent in that time? I don't know if you parented in that.
So
analog
I
days
think,
or-
I don't know, maybe our type of parenting is an old-fashioned one, because certainly we parented most of the time before we got all these children getting exposed to all this internet and all this social media. We didn't have that much at the early stage. It has come up now. So I have a feeling maybe some of us might not be in a very appropriate position to guide those who are having children now under that kind of influence. But certainly I think there should be an effort to really say, yes, there is this, but the child should know what is the best for them. So we haven't now. I think maybe we shall experience it when we are having our grandchildren, but us maybe we might not be that helpful to the young ones who are having children that are exposed to this kind of information.
Wow.
Yes, I think as to us is now. As our parents must have had challenges with us, we had our own challenges with our children, and now you young families will have challenges with your children. But as I had already alluded, you should model what you want your child to be. So, like in this time of digital, phones everywhere, TVs everywhere, set some limits. And if you are going to set some limits for your children, maybe you have to set limits for yourself first. Because
that makes a lot of sense.
yes, if your phone is your best friend, and the first thing you think about in the morning is your phone, the last thing you think about is your phone in the evening, your children will not be any different. Set limits. I've been encouraging my children to discourage their children from having phones, because 4-year-olds know how to manipulate all the phones. I have a friend of mine, and his daughter was in S1, S2, and they insisted that they want a phone. The parents said, yes, I will buy a phone, but where are you going to get the airtime to run it? Because I'm not buying a phone and buy you airtime. So you are likely to do other things to get the airtime for the phone. So I think as parents, they should be encouraged to have boundaries. You watch TV for 2 hours. I think let's learn from our friends, the Europeans. They have very strict times. The children watch TV 1 hour. That's it. Phone, you not touch phone until you are 12. You not drive until you are 18. And children, if they have been discussed with, we will appreciate these things. Because as you grow older, you are able to take more responsibility. And therefore it is important to have boundaries, and then try and encourage our children to keep them.
Wow. Thank you very, very much for allowing to come and share your knowledge with us. Give us your closing or parting shots, and then we'll finish.
Okay, yeah, I could maybe start the closing. I just want to thank you, Claire, for hosting us. And I think it's a great opportunity to be able to share with others some of the experiences that we've had during the parenting with grace It is a challenging situation, a challenging thing to do when you are raising children, but I think we need to encourage parents that it is possible. As we have already said, children are a gift from God, and we should know that gifts need to be looked after so well. And we are charged with those children. The moment you have a child, know that it's your responsibility up to the time all the time you'll be on earth. So let us know that it is this gift. We have to work on it. We have to put in our time, our resources, and also to make sure that at least we keep close to them. For me, I think keeping close to your child, making sure that you pray for your children all the time, make sure that you encourage them to be God-fearing, can help you to find it easy in life to raise children. So the encouraging word is that it is possible. Let us be at the game that the Lord has charged us to do. He has charged us to have children and to multiply and fill the earth, and I'm sure He has given us the grace to do that. So let us not be laid back. It is a responsibility. Even when they go astray, let us not give up, because we are supposed to show them the right way. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting us again. Thank you, Family TV. Keep going. I think we are doing a big contribution in our country, so we are glad to be part of this show. My parting shot is to men. I think men, we must play our role in bringing up our children, because there is a promise in it that if we bring up good children, there will be a blessing for generations.
Thank you. Our time is done. Yeah, we will finish up. Thank you. Our time is already spent. Have a blessed night. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Family Hour, empowering families one episode at a time. Together, we build strong, healthy, and thriving families with our daily dose of inspiration and expert insights on topics that matter.